Well, hello, it's Rod from the Australian Academy of Tai Chi, and we're here for another active and healthy session on behalf of the Gold Coast City Council. And in this session we're going to explore the different range of movements. Tai Chi is a very interesting exercise, and it's often known, people say, oh, it's good for older people, or I'll do Tai Chi when I get older. And that can be true, because it is something that is safe to do when you're older, and even if you're not quite as mobile as you used to be, or for whatever conditions that you're not as mobile now, you can still do a lot of the exercises. So I'm going to show a few variations of the different exercises. So the first thing to remember when doing Tai Chi is that you only go as far as you can comfortably. It's all about being relaxed and doing as much as you can in the most relaxed way that you can. So it's not, how fast, how far, how long, any of those linear measurements. It's more about feeling. How do you feel? Do you relax? So even just doing a simple exercise like loosening the shoulder joint, you want to do it in a very relaxed way. And yet this meets the requirements for helping to maintain healthy joints. One of the most important things with the joints is that you move and use them, and you only go as far as you can comfortably. And if you have different conditions, arthritis or other injuries, that a range of movement might be only a little bit of movement, but you can get your mind into it to think about it. So some people can lift the shoulder and roll the shoulder and move it all the way around it. Well, if you can do that, go as far as you can comfortably and do that. But other people may only have a very small range of movement, and if you think about it, you can still feel it. Even a tiny little circle where it hardly looks like as if I'm doing anything for the joint. I'm just sort of moving it around, I'm getting rotation inside the socket, I'm lifting the shoulder, rolling it back, releasing it down again. And even just these very simple movements move the joints around. So for joints exercise, think of movement, to go as far as you can comfortably through the natural range of movement, and try and find all of those different ranges of movements, whatever they might be. This is where circles are very interesting. You can have a big circle, or you can have a small circle, and yet it's still a circle, even right down to a little dot. So we're going to work a little bit more on the joints exercises and the preparation, but the first thing I'm thinking about is, as the weather cools down, it's good to warm up. And it's good to warm up the joints, especially if you have any trouble with arthritis in the hands and in the hand joints. But this is also very appropriate because it becomes a very good technique for washing your hands properly. Now the first thing I'm doing is letting the fingers slide through each other, so you get all the spaces in between the fingers, and the joints rubbing past each other also help to warm up the joint surfaces and the tendons and connective tissues. Make sure you do the back of the hands as well, and slide the fingers into those spaces right up the top of the finger. There you get a full range of movement through there. Actually, if you do have painful joints in the hands, sometimes warming them up, even just washing them in warm water, can be good for the joints, yeah? So the tendons move through the arms to move the fingers, so it's good to massage the palm and the wrist, around the wrist. I've got my hand around the wrist at the same time as using the thumb to massage around the palm, and I'm even doing a little bit of movement into the fingers to try and use those tendons a little bit. When tendons stay still, get cold, or held tight with stress, they become harder. So one of the most important things is to loosen them up, to try and warm them up in that sense, and to increase the circulation. They don't have any circulation by themselves, so we need movement and pressure change to be able to get that circulation going. So I'm getting the space in between the thumb and the hand. Of course, many of these points are acupressure points that are used in massage and other traditional Chinese medicine treatments, but in a general way, the hands are an area that often holds stress, so we've got to try and get them nice and loose to loosen them up and to increase the circulation. In this one, I'm just sliding the hand around the thumb. I'm not trying to twist it or anything like that, just very gently sliding around. And if you work through all of the different fingers, a little bit of work like this, it takes a little bit of time just to go through them all, so I'm maybe doing it a little bit faster. If you've got the time, you can take your time and go a little bit slower. You can even think about each individual joint in the fingers and try and warm them up and try and get some movement into there. Whichever way is most comfortable to rotate around there, just being very careful not to twist or strain the finger. You're trying to just slide the hand around to create that little bit of feeling of increasing the circulation. We want our hands to try and keep working for as long as we can, and spending a little bit of time on looking after them is very important. There's a lot of bones, a lot of joints in the hands and the feet, and spending some time there is very beneficial. So this is a good warm-up exercises for arthritis to help increase the circulation, but also helping us to maintain the health. Now, squeezing is strengthening for the bones, and sometimes that can be done to squeeze the muscles and build the strength into the muscles and the bones. But the other thing is extending and stretching out. We want to try and lengthen. So sometimes even just sliding along the finger to be able to lengthen out along there, that can help. And the other thing is trying to extend and to stretch. So we want to have the fingers opening wide and extending out that little bit extra. Although one more point, if you are washing your hands, putting the fingers on the inside here and moving them around like this and sort of scratching on your palm also helps to get the soap underneath your fingernails and to make sure you get the hands nice and clean. And sometimes you can flick the water off. Drying the hands afterwards is also a very beneficial part of the washing the hands. So things like that to loosen the joints. Now, a lot of these exercises, of course, can be done sitting. And think, it's easy to exercise the upper part of the body while we're sitting. Even just turning gently from side to side. First sit up straight if you can. If you can move onto the front of the chair, that's good. That'll allow you to have a little bit more room. But if you can't, then sitting so that you brace your back. And so you've got good posture there. You can possibly still do a lot of these extra exercises. You can even do like all the hand movements and exercises from the 18 techniques while you're sitting in the chair. And even if you're working a lot in the chair, it's a good idea every now and again just to move away from the back of the chair, to move forward so that you can sit up and use those shoulders to roll back, to work on the muscles in between the shoulder blades, to lift one shoulder and lower the other. Getting that extra bit of movement there. You can do some stretching and opening out exercises with the arms. So this can be done standing or sitting. But often people don't think about the legs, and you can actually do a lot with the legs while you're in a sitting position as well. You can even do some knee lifting exercises, which are good for the abdomen. You can feel that work on the inside of the body there. You can roll the foot around to draw a circle. You do this on both sides, of course. And I'm just running through some serving suggestions here if you like. You can adjust the movements, and this one's really simple. Rotates up into the ball joint of the hip. You can even do it lying down. So when we think of exercise and movement for the joints, all we've got to do is make sure we avoid those long periods of inactivity. That's the worst thing that we can do. So sitting exercises, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Lifting the heels and the toes, rotating the foot around. You might have to hold the leg up a little bit to find the level that you can do. And of course, I'm trying to fit a lot of exercises in, so I'm tending to go a little bit faster. But slowing it down and taking your time is also very beneficial. course, you can stay standing to do all of these exercises as well. I just want to give a few more options to those people that aren't as mobile, and for some of our elderly people that are not quite as mobile as they used to be, they might want to do some exercises sitting and some exercises standing as well. But here's one that a lot of people do find interesting. Using the knee, extending the foot backwards and forwards, uses the muscles here in the thighs, and can actually get quite a bit of work into the leg, even just in a sitting position, sitting up, keeping the body up, and working with holding the leg up into position. You might do a few just backwards and forwards to start with as a loosening exercise, or holding the leg there for a little bit longer so that you can feel that sort of activation into these muscles in the top part of the leg. One more thing that I'd like to think about is balance. It's one of the things, everybody talks about it, but it's use it or lose it. And for most people, they start compensating. Even younger people start to lean against something to put their shoes on or stuff like that. So we forget that we should be able to lift the knee to be able to lift the foot up. I sort of joke about it and say if you can't do your shoelaces up while you're standing on one leg, you've got a disability. But that's not. That's just a rather simplistic way of looking at it. So if you know anybody whose balance is not good, the simplest thing to do to start building up towards that level is to stand holding on to something and practice lifting. So if we go through the exercise, then we'll start to get the benefit of actually moving the muscles and moving the joints. And I've had many a person that goes, I can't balance it. And you can see the fear of falling taking over. But once you hold on to something, it takes away that fear and makes it much easier to be able to do these type of exercises. So if you know anybody whose balance is not good, try and encourage them to do some very simple exercises, even if they need to stand between two chairs. You usually find that once you've been doing that for a while, it becomes easier and you're not even really holding onto the chair. It's just there to give you that extra information. The other aspect of this is then you might be able to do it with your eyes closed. So by keeping the eyes closed, you won't be able to see me, but if you've got your eyes closed, then you think about what you're doing a lot more. And it takes away that visual aspect of focusing your eyes to help keep your balance and allows you to think more about feeling. Feeling where the weight is in the body, feeling the movement itself. So it becomes neuromuscular training. That's the important part of this. So regardless of how good your balance is, I'd encourage you sometimes to just try it out holding on to something so you can keep yourself very stable and very strong. Practice doing it with your eyes closed so you can focus on the feeling. And just for those people that think that this is cheating, well, those ballet dancers are a bunch of cheats, aren't they? They always start with the basic exercises holding onto the bar. And it is because it's neuromuscular. We want to try and train the connections from the brain through the body as well. And quite often, even people that haven't got very good balance, after doing a couple of weeks of practicing something like this, find, oh, I can stand on one leg. I can do this if I really need to. And that's good. This is the sort of thing that you like to be able to do, and if you can do it, well, that's going to be very beneficial for you. So, with the joints, one of the most important things is keeping good alignment and avoiding strain on the joints. A lot of people do have problems with the knees, and so they're not able to bend the knees very far, but even if you just soften the knees a little bit, that's bending the knees. But if you try to go further and go too far, bending the knees and sort of lunging the knee forward, this puts stress onto the joints. So you want to try and keep the knees directly over the top of the feet. And the lowering doesn't come just from bending the knees, it actually comes from sitting through the middle of the body. So just like sitting in the chair, you're sitting up straight to focus on the middle of the body and to engage the muscles. In fact, standing exercise and just holding the standing position for an extended period of time is one of the traditional forms of practice. I remember when my teacher, Grandmaster Gary Kaur, first told us that some masters stand for half an hour or even an hour in this position to improve their Qigong stability. I thought, oh, that's easy. I'll go home and I'll start practicing this. And I looked at the clock. Gee, it took a long time for that first minute to go through. And by the time I got to third minute, I thought, oh, my legs. I didn't realize just how much it does use the muscles in the legs. So build up to it gradually by doing little bits at a time, even just very gentle bending and straightening. And practice it regularly, a little bit each day or even several times through the day, to just get used to bending the knees again, to activate the muscles around the knees, to sit from the middle of the body. So that's our horse riding stance. Simple exercises like swinging arms, moving from the center of the body, keeping the knees in good alignment. Sometimes I think of my kneecaps like headlights. They're just shining straight down the road. And even when I look from side to side, looking to see if there's a car coming or something, I don't want the headlights to go all over the place. I want them to stay straight down the track, even though the body is rotating and turning from the center. So these exercises that work on the rotation of the hips are very, very important. A lot of people have very tight muscles and then they don't move very well on the inside. So getting that internal movement, the intrinsic movement for the joints, is also a very important part of looking after the joints. Another aspect is moving backwards and forwards. And some people think, it's unnatural to bend the knees. Well, my thing is, you ever tried to walk without bending your knees? You end up very straight and very, very rigid. So if you can walk and use your knees this much, then that is enough to actually start working on using the legs properly. One of the commonest mistakes in Tai Chi movements that you'll see, and you see a lot of this on the internet, is people going too far forward, putting a stress onto the knee joint. But if you think about it, the weight goes down through the hip, through the knee, and should push the foot flat onto the floor. So when it pushes on the floor, then it pushes back as well, because every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So in this Tai Chi step, you'll see that I am pushing forward from the hip on this side. The movement comes from the foot, release through the leg, through the knee, and through the hip to be able to push the body forward. But on the other side, the knee goes forward over the top of the foot, pushes down into the foot, and pushes back into the hip. So there's actually like a little rotation or sitting part here. So this is one of the reasons why Tai Chi is considered to be so good for the joints, because we look after the joints. We move carefully, we think about what we're doing. We control the movements, and we're always trying to put the body into the strongest position where we can use that strength through the middle of the body. So both legs push into the hips and the pelvis. The pelvis sits down and we can sit up through the back, lengthening and lifting to the top of the head. Even having the head forward or the body out of alignment, the shoulders up. All of these things weaken the body and weaken the posture. So we're trying to always focus on good alignment to be able to do each exercise properly. So in pushing forward, it's not how far you push forward or extend too far and lose the balance. It's more about balance. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So it's actually impossible to move forward and push at the same time. I know that sounds strange, but you need to push against something. So when you sit down into the floor, into the ground, that gives you the strength to brace yourself from the center. And then the strength can come up through the body and then push out into the arms. Now, again, if the arm gets out of alignment and, we lift or use the wrong muscles, the joints don't work efficiently. Just walking, the arms swing backwards and forwards naturally, but we don't think about that as being a really strong movement. But if the shoulder strikes the elbow forward, that is a very strong movement, and it only needs to go about that far. But if it's a little bit out of alignment, it loses all of that strength. So practicing to keep the joints in good alignment, sitting up straight, rolling the shoulders back, opening the chest, allowing the lungs to work efficiently, maintaining the tone in the muscles in between the shoulder blades, and practicing keeping the shoulder in good alignment rather than letting it slouch or drop down in front of the body. We work too much in front of the body, whereas sitting up will help bring the shoulder back into position, and that makes the shoulder movement much stronger. The elbow opens like a hinge, and that's again a very strong movement, like striking with a hammer. Rotation, well, that's even stronger, using that turning movement. And the wrist to flex, to push into the palm. So when we want to do an extension of the arm, we don't just think about how far we can stretch. Some exercises we will go as far as you can comfortably to get the extension, but we don't want to get out of alignment. We don't want to create tension in other areas. So we want to try and keep everything in good alignment. But in most cases with our Tai Chi, we think about sitting, the shoulder pushes the elbow forward, the angle of the elbow opens, the forearm rotates, and the wrist flexes, and we focus into the palm, and we open out into the fingers. So doing a Tai Chi pushing exercise is actually a very good exercise for the joints. Stepping. Every single step you take. 1 to get the balance, 2 to lift the knee, 3 to place the foot. It doesn't matter whether you're walking forward, walking backwards, walking sideways. You're always doing these same 3 things. So if you focus on those 3 things, that helps you to be able to improve your stepping, your stride, your center of gravity, your balance. See? 1 to get the balance, 2 to lift the knee, 3 to place the foot. Being able to have a good stride, to be able to stretch out. I think of it as the ring of confidence. There's a circle around the body. When the center of gravity is up high, you have a smaller circle, and a little bit outside that circle you'll easily lose your balance. If the top part of the body is out of balance and the head's leaning forward, again you're more likely to fall over and the head will hit the ground first. But if you can relax and center, you sit up straight to keep the posture, to stand tall, then it helps you to lift the knee, and with a lower center of balance in the body, you have a bigger circle. And so that helps to maintain that safe area that you can step. So these things are really quite simple. And the key is to practice regularly and to think about what you're doing. How far you could step without losing your balance, keeping everything into good alignment. Just like I was saying here with the pushing forward, we don't want the knee to go too far forward. So likewise, when we're standing on one leg, we don't want the knee to go too far forward. We want to engage the muscles from the center of the body and to be able to focus on keeping the posture, to be able to keep the alignment. Right? Then stride, extending out as far as you can. Simple things like heel and toe exercise can be very beneficial for that. Just practicing being able to maintain balance and to have a good step. Now if you can step out that far, chances of falling over is so low because you've got a big base of balance and the center of gravity can stay within the body. That's another reason why you don't want to lean over, because that's going to lean forward and bring the weight forward, and it's easy to end up outside. But if you can sit up straight, like as if you're balancing something on top of the head, you know the classic deportment exercises of keeping your head up, yeah? Those sort of things are very beneficial. Another aspect of keeping the body upright is being able to reach up with the arms and to extend up. But we want to think of that as up above the head. Think about the space above the head. You can imagine that you're just holding something on the head if you like, extending up further. Now sometimes you might not be able to go so high with the hands in that position, but you can still extend the arms out to stretch out. Either way, find the level that you can do comfortably so that you get that stretch right through the middle of the body. And with this extra work on the upper part of the body, the shoulders, the upper back, keeping the neck in good alignment, keeping the head up. These things are also very beneficial for our balance. Yeah? So stretching, waving the hands around in the air, again I emphasize that should be an essential exercise, something that you should do every day. Some people just do it instinctively. Yawning and stretching when you get out of bed. That's a simple application of that. But try to remember to do it a number of times during the day. So balancing, being able to work with the joints, being able to keep everything in good alignment, and working on the natural upright posture are very important aspects of doing Tai Chi. So we're going to run through our series of 18 techniques, and when we get to the stepping exercises, I'll re-emphasize some of those important parts. But even now, because I'm focusing a little bit more on exercises for healthy aging, if you feel that you do need to take a break, you can always sit down and do any of the exercises sitting in the chair as well. Obviously some of the stepping is not going to be quite the same, but you can work a transition, a bit of both, gradually build up to perhaps standing long enough to be able to do a whole hour of the exercise. People often say to me, don't you get tired when you do so many hours of exercise? And I say, nah, not really, because half the time one leg's resting. One leg's working, but the other leg's having a rest. So we're often moving the weight around too. If I had to stand in one position for that time, then I probably would get tired a lot quicker. Unlocking the knees so that the weight can sit down from the middle of the body. Think of the pelvic floor. If you take a big breath, or often when we start to breathe, you fill up too quickly. But the best way to take a big breath is to empty the lungs first. Use the diaphragm. Go as far as you can to empty the lungs, and while I'm talking, I'm still breathing out. Then extending the breath that little bit extra. So sometimes you can't trust me. I'll be talking about the in-breath and I'll be talking. Well, you can't actually talk on the in-breath. You can only talk while you're breathing out. So, singers, people that can extend the voice that little bit further, people that play a wind instrument, they have a really strong diaphragm. So a good way to help strengthen your diaphragm is to take a big breath in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Extend the diaphragm as far as you can comfortably, and then when you run out of air, relax. Allow the next breath to come in naturally. So you get the feeling of using a larger capacity of the lungs, which will allow you to slow down the number of breaths that you use, but you will still get a full amount of oxygen that you need. If your breath is not so good, for whatever reason, you might breathe in, I can't go so far. That's okay. Do try to focus on emptying the lungs to take a slower, deeper breath. But when you run out of breath, just relax, take another breath, and then maybe move on with the exercise or the movement that you're trying to do. Being mindful, relaxing. Allowing the breath to let go. It knows what to do, let it be. Just let it work by itself. So this focus on the feeling of the breathing. Might just do the knees again to lift a little bit higher. Just as a casual bit of a warm-up. Maybe tap the foot on the ground to stimulate the nerves. And Tai Chi, Qigong, Shubasha, the 18 techniques. Slow and steady, stepping to a comfortable width, whatever is best for you. Toes turned in a little bit with the knees unlocked, so the feet are as close as comfortable to parallel. Sitting with the hips, rolling the shoulders back, Keeping the chin in to lengthen the neck to keep the head up. Shoulders back. See, if the shoulders slouch forward, we start to compress the lungs. They won't breathe. They can't breathe properly. But with the shoulders back, then the chest can open and close. So this is like being too yin. Congestion, compression, not functioning as well as they should. Too stressed, too yang. That's no good either. We need to be able to change naturally from the out-breath to the in-breath, and from the in-breath back to the out-breath. So keeping the back up, keeping the shoulders in good alignment, very important for that. I've been talking a lot about the breathing, but if I can get you to forget about it just for a moment, just wave the hands through the air. It's like a wave travelling through the arm. Try not to lift the elbow using the deltoid muscles. Think more of the rotation inside the shoulder joint so the muscles can pull down and connect to the lower back and down into the centre. This is core strength in lifting the arms into a strong position. Whereas training the muscles will often lead us to do very, very bad movements, getting the joints in the wrong alignment. Whereas we can focus on those internal movements, it's much better. So waving the hands through the air, just in a flowing, gentle movement. All energy travels in waves. So we can think of a wave just flowing through the hands. It's like shaking the towel at the beach to shake the sand off. Get that little flick that flow through. And if you use the body, down and up, down and then back up again. Are you breathing in and relaxing to breathe out? It probably works naturally. So again, that's another very important part of the breathing you want to think about. When you relax, let go. Allow the breathing to be natural. Allow the mind, the body and the breath to work together. If you try and do it the other way, you'll probably find it very difficult. Lifting, breathing out. Lowering, breathing in. It doesn't feel right, does it? It doesn't have that natural coordination. So again, that's the reason I want to make that point. If you relax and let go and just feel the flow, then the breathing and the movements will tend to work together in harmony. If you don't have as big capacity with the lungs, you may have to go a little bit faster, or even sometimes break it into a couple of parts. But overall, the most important thing is to focus on feeling, to be present, to be aware of what you're doing, to be here now. Waving the hands through the air. Feel the air. Feel the pressure change. Expanding to open the chest. Breathe in. Relax. Empty the breath as far as you can comfortably with just that little bit of extra emphasis onto the diaphragm. Use the diaphragm to fill the lower part of the lungs. Open the ribs. If you run out of breath there, just relax. Take another breath to move on. Whatever you can do most comfortably to stay relaxed with the breathing. If you feel comfortable to go further and you have a long breath, sure, do it all in one breath. And go as far as you can, comfortably. Relax. Release. Lower. Expanding to open the chest. Very calming for the nervous system. Even very beneficial for helping with chronic pain management. Being able to stay present and to just focus on your breathing. And this gives us the opportunity to be able to do that with a coordination of movement through the whole body. In a sense, we think of it as the whole body breathing. Next, to paint the rainbow across the sky. It may very well be just a very small arc. You can imagine the colours. Painting the rainbow across the sky. Yeah. But the general idea is to go as far as you can comfortably. So if you can sit onto one leg, sit up straight with the posture, let that other leg just rest empty and reach out to the horizon, then that's good. Bring the hand up. You might bring the hand up higher and over the top of the head. It's like putting a hat on and then opening out to the side. Try not to get out of alignment or lean into any of the movements. Try and think of that sitting, to move the balance over the top of the foot, to sit onto that one side, to let this side loose, and then open out to the horizon. If you can take your hand up higher, you might just think of the center of the palm being in line with the top of the head, and instead of actually coming down, pushing up instead, and then opening to the side. So range of movement as far as you feel comfortable sitting without putting strain on the knee, standing on one leg, then changing the pressure. As you put the pressure onto this leg, it squeezes the veins, squeezes the blood back towards the heart, helping to fill the left ventricle. So we get more blood returning to the heart, so that each pump of the heart pumps more blood. It's all about efficiency. Especially as we get older, the efficiency of the muscles, even the valves in the heart, can often start to decrease. And just accelerating the heart rate may mean that we're doing more pumps of the heart, but only half full, only half efficient. So being able to slow down can also be a focus on efficiency. Stretching, relaxing, focusing to the side, as if painting a rainbow across the sky. To separate the clouds, you get feeling a bit down, a bit gloomy, reach up, lift the arms, imagine you won the lottery. Yeah! You know, whatever it takes to lift the spirit. Open out to the sides. Again, how far? All depends on what you feel comfortable with to be able to stretch out into a natural range of movement. The same with the lowering. You might just soften the knees, sit a little bit with the hips, sit up through the back, spiral and rotate through the arms, out through the palms. Think of the space up above your head. Think of the horizon. Lower to relax. Sit to scoop and gather. Very safe, very gentle, adjusting to what you can do comfortably. But if you can go further, go as far as you can comfortably regularly to help maintain your movements, because simply it's use it or lose it. Stretching up on the heels, relax so the weight goes down through that little part of the foot that's got connection to the ground. Lower the heels, soften the knees, sit with the hips, scoop together, engage the muscles through the posture, and go as far as you can. So very good principles. Find the range of movement that is best for you, and don't worry about how far anybody else can go. Just explore your own natural range of movement. To focus on the push. If you extend your arm out, you can't push. You've already used up all the push. The strongest part of the push is from this position, about 45 degrees forward with the arm. The same moving back, very strong, just to pull back. Nudge, nudge, it's a strong movement. Start to get out of alignment, pull back too far, and you put the body at risk of injury. So being able to use the natural range of movement, keeping the joints in good alignment. Helps to prevent arthritis, but if we do actually have any problems with the joints, again, to find that range of movement, I'm just waving my hands around to try and get the lights to come back on, the sensors. Don't pick me up. They don't think that I'm moving. Yeah. So the elbow comes back naturally, shoulder in good alignment. The arm extends back where you can comfortably. You relax the shoulder to let the elbow drop down, comes down to the side. The shoulder pushes the elbow forward. The elbow opens angle, rotates through the forearm, flexes through the wrist into the palm, into a strong position to be able to push. Then the other side, we roll the arms to lift with the palms, relax the shoulders, sit back into the middle to focus, to push. Hence we have the exercise called rolling the arms and sitting in the horse riding stance. Breathing in as you turn the body to the side to open the chest. Relaxing the chest, relaxing the shoulders and the elbows, focusing on the diaphragm to push, rolling the arms to turn, sitting to push. So good posture, good alignment, the best, most comfortable movement that you can do. It's the quality that's most important, feeling comfortable and relaxed. Once you start to get out of alignment, then you've gone too far. The same with paddling the hands. Imagine paddling in the water, pushing back, sitting up, lifting up along the back, out to the fingertips, focus on the center of the palms, sitting up straight, lifting up the back. So again, how far can you go comfortably? Relax, lift the arms. You might feel comfortable to stretch and extend. You might even feel comfortable to sit lower and push back to stretch. All of these things are possible if you can do it comfortably without any strain. That's really the key point. Go as far as you can, comfortably. Maintain a focus on strength, good posture, and good alignment. Supporting the ball in front of the shoulder, lifting the hand as if you're holding something in the palm, and then relaxing it down and lifting on the other side. Now the difference between just doing exercise, so you can swing from side to side, this might look to some people to be more exercise, but to me, there's too much there that I don't want to do. I'm out of alignment, I'm twisting, I'm straining, I'm going too far. So, simple things like being able to balance, to stand onto one leg. You don't have to lift, you can just lift the heel. You can sit, turn with the palm. Even if you're sitting in the chair, you can sit and maybe just rotate a little bit at the waist and bring the hand up in front. Yeah, so if you're standing, think of it as sitting comfortably, to stand onto one leg and to lift the palm. To push the hand down, to sweep across, can help you stabilize while you lift the other hand. It is a martial art movement technique as well, but again, to get the focus on good martial art technique, good alignment is paramount. It's so simple. Now some people may know other versions of these exercises. We have one where we go all the way into this position, but if you look carefully, it's really the same in so many different ways. Instead of sitting to push down, I'm pushing up to sit down. Still maintaining the balance onto one leg. Putting the knee up and the foot behind the other knee allows me to sit and to activate the muscles internally. So you get this sort of opposite sides to the movement. Yet if you look here, it's still the same. Weight transfer and balance to center the body, to lift with the palm, and to relax and release back down again, as if supporting a ball in front of the shoulder. Moving the balance, no twisting or straining, just as far as you can comfortably to stay relaxed and centered, and to focus on the flow and feeling of the movement. Relax, to breathe out, breathe in, open the chest, relax the chest, lower the weight, activate the diaphragm, breathe in to open. The mind, the body, and the breath in harmony. Putting the body into the best natural alignment to have the strongest position that we can find. So whatever level it is that you can do, take your time, tune in, stay relaxed, focus on the movement. The next exercise, gazing at the moon. A simple image that you could think of is like sliding a window up to be able to look out at the beautiful scene. Or you can even make a frame with your hands and think of framing the moon. Relax down into the center. Turn from the center of the body without twisting the knees and lift it. So if you feel comfortable going further, you might turn a little bit extra. You might lift the arms a little bit higher. Relax down. You might move all the weight across to stand on one leg. So you're literally focusing on your balance, standing on one leg while you're stretching. So the idea is to go as far as you can comfortably without any strain, keeping everything in good natural alignment, no straining, twisting or anything like that, just finding the level that works best for you this time. Turning to gaze at the moon. Turning the body to push with the palm. Turning to push past the center line, down and across to the side, down low, and then pulling back with the elbow. Again, we'll notice that the elbow and the shoulder are doing these same sort of things to keep good alignment, so that the strength comes naturally from the center of the body. We get out of alignment, we lose the strength. So even if we're not able to do everything perfectly, we try to do the best we can to be in the best, well-aligned, comfortable position. To focus on the breathing, think of lifting to open and expand the chest, relax the chest and sit to push down on the out-breath to activate the diaphragm. Breathing in and breathing out. Activate to sit up straight. The diaphragm connects to the spine and all of the internal muscles. In the hard styles of martial art, they make big noises, using the diaphragm to be able to put the strength, to connect the strength from the middle of the body through the spine into the hand. We're doing the same thing, but quietly and with a soft strength to focus. So when we turn, we lift to breathe in, and then we sit, we focus to breathe out, emptying the breath. I'm just making that extra noise through the mouth, but normally, if you can, you breathe in and out through the nose. Relax on the out breath. Breathe in to gather. Sit to focus. Push. Breathe in to gather. Turning to the side to expand and open the chest. Relax the shoulders, the elbows. Push into the palms. Breathe in. Embrace the tiger. Return to the mountain. Rolling the arms, pushing with the palms. Well, there's only two ways you can rotate your hand, one way or the other. This way gives very strong push into the palm, the other way onto the back of the hand. In the Lotus Qigong we do an exercise called the snow rabbit digging, which I quite often joke about. I don't know too much about digging in the snow, so I think of the turtle digging in the sand, scooping and rolling the hand. It's a really good exercise for the joints. Again, it's getting that rotation in the shoulder. Instead of lifting the arm using the wrong muscles, we're able to relax and sit the weight down and stay connected to the center, so that this becomes a very strong movement rolling onto the center line. Also, we say that the leaf does nothing to get rid of the snow. If there's too much weight here, it just lets it fall off. But then the other hand comes back over to the front. So this is that powerful movement onto the back of the hand. So it's called cloud hands, and we think of the softness and the flow of the movement. But actually, internally, we're thinking of the strength of the movement to focus everything to the front, onto the center line in front of the body. We try to avoid dead wood. What we mean by that is, if something's not moving, it's dead. Right? So I might be doing one part, but I'm not doing anything at all. It's just staying still. Right? So sometimes when we first start, that happens. But as soon as you can, try to get the flow movement. So it's sort of like trailing a ribbon through the air, using the center of the body to get that flow so that the joints are moving continuously. This is one of the ways that Tai Chi is so good for the joints, and why it's recommended by arthritis foundations all around the world. But if you haven't got arthritis, guess what? It's really good to look after the joints, and prevention is better than cure. So, good health, good use of the joints is very important. People often talk about wear and tear on the joints, but essentially the wear and tear occurs when things are out of alignment. So just trying to be able to get the flow movement, to keep it nice and smooth and connected to the center of the body. One of the most important aspects that we can work with. Turning around to make it a little bit easier to follow the stepping exercises. The first one, scooping water and looking at the horizon. Imagine scooping to gather something heavy in the arms. Sit back, push up to gently stretch, and then open out to the sides. I might just reduce this again because I'm talking about range of movement. If this is as far as you can go, still try and get that position where you can relax comfortably in the middle, as if you're holding something in the arms without any excess in the posture or any strain. To lift the hands where you can comfortably. To think about the horizon. Lower the toes, put the knees into alignment, sit with the hips, scoop together. Now if you feel comfortable that you can go further, sure, go as far as you can comfortably. Relax to sit, to scoop and gather, and then sit back to stretch and open. Sitting comfortably. This position, again, is using the arm very similar to what we did in the cloud hands. When we scoop together, the shoulder rolls, the elbow descends, and the hand comes up into position. So in a classic Tai Chi form, that might look like this in the ward-off movement, or getting ready for the press. It'll look like this. In a moment, we're going to practice the push, so I won't do that one now. We'll just change to the other side. 1, to get the balance. 2, to lift the knee. 3, to place the foot. Lower the toes. Put the knee into a strong position. Sit with the hips, up through the posture. Scoop together as if holding something heavy. And then push the weight back. Lift to open. Extend out to the horizon. Relax and sink. Sit to scoop and gather. So whatever level you feel comfortable with, it's a small movement, don't worry, it's still a good movement. If you feel you can go further, that's good. But if you try to go too far, you might just end up out of alignment and then you're not really doing anything good at all. Try to find the optimum. Focus on good alignment, good balance. Scooping water, looking at the horizon. Changing sides again, 1 to get the balance, 2 to lift the knee, 3 to place the foot, 1, 2, 3. The pushing waves. Now here's another example of using the joints just like we were talking about before. The elbow comes back a little bit, the elbow moves forward, the forearm rotates, the wrist flexes and focuses into the palm. Then we release the wrist to lift back the other way. We push down with the wrist into this position. We release again and then spiral up into the pushing position. So just highlighting some of the things that can go wrong. Trying to go too far forward weakens the strength in the body. Everything gets out of alignment and puts excessive strain onto some joints. If you can keep everything in good alignment, you have a strong position. The other one is not getting the flow. You see people hold the hands tight and try and push. This again is what I'd call deadwood. There's nothing happening. You know, the hand's being held tight the whole time. So it's locked and strained. But if you can get that idea of loosening, relaxing, guiding the strength through each part of the movement, that can make the movements very strong and very efficient for the joints. Healthy joints come from healthy movement, avoiding wear and tear by keeping everything in good alignment and using our strength naturally, without strain. Try and get as much flow and movement as you can. Sitting to push. Now, you can actually practice this pushing against something that's not going to move, a wall or tree or something like that. And if you push and you feel the strength up here in the top part of the body, pushing it away, that's not quite right. Try and sit down into your feet. Sit up through the back and push into the palms. So it should be a very strong movement, well aligned. Always look for that when you're doing your exercise. Good alignment, good balance, good posture. This side again, it starts almost the same, but then once the knee is strong, move the body over the top of the foot. Relax. Lower the heel. Now this is a very important part of the balance and stability program. People fall over backwards because they haven't put the foot down. There's too much stress in the leg and it's holding the balance up in the body. But if you can simply relax and lower the foot, then the foot can take the weight as you sit your body back. So as we do the flying dove, we're really thinking about balancing, relaxing to sit onto the front leg, putting the foot down, moving back to relax and sink onto the back leg. How far do you go? Well, that depends on what you can do comfortably. If you feel comfortable, you might sit lower, bring the arms up higher. It all depends. Nurturing, taking care, being kind and gentle to yourself. Allow yourself time. Practice makes perfect. Well, perfect practice is even better. Think of it as not just exercise. It's not a punishment that you have to do. It's developing skill. And if you focus on the skill development in the exercises, you'll probably get better at it. It's just a simple matter of practicing regularly, maintaining the strength, and when conditions are right, things thrive. So going as far as you can comfortably. I'm often surprised, even people that work out in the gym sometimes think they have very strong arms, and say, hold your arms up for 10 minutes, and they go, oh, that's so hard to do. Well, if you build it up gradually, you'll be able to do it. If you practice doing it in a relaxed way, you'll always be keeping good alignment. Every single one of the repetitions will be beneficial. But if you start to strain, you start to get out of alignment, then every single one you're doing is actually generating an injury. Sometimes it takes a while before that injury becomes apparent. Many people say, oh, I've done it for such a long time. But then they wonder why they get old. All of a sudden, things catching up. So gently squeezing the bones helps to strengthen the bones. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it's not just the stimulation of the muscles to strengthen the bones. It's to stimulate the immune system. The bone marrow makes the red and white blood cells, the stem cells. The T cells for our immune system to find invaders and to be able to get rid of them. So there's such a focus on reducing stress by being calm and relaxed. Developing the efficiency of the circulatory system, the lungs and the heart. Strong and powerful, not stressed. But when it comes to the bones, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress on the bones is good because it helps them to absorb the minerals to maintain their strength. And we're not just working one muscle at a time, like lifting something just to use the bicep muscle. We're trying to activate all of the muscles, the tricep and the bicep, and all of the muscles through the whole body to squeeze the skeleton and to release, to breathe. Bone breathing exercises. The flying bird. A great bird they are. They fly thousands of kilometers. Great endurance. The rotating wheel, turning from the center. In the Tai Chi classics it says 30 spokes have a wheel, but they're all controlled from the hub. An ancient saying. In other words, there's many parts to the body, but they're all connected back to the center. If one joint doesn't work so well, quite often we don't notice and we compensate. But then that puts the strain onto other joints. So always trying to keep the movement smooth and efficient, only going as far as you can comfortably, will allow you to get the conditions right so that you can go further. Whatever level that is for you, control and flow from the center of the body. So this is one of the reasons why we can have people of all different levels doing the same exercise. And why it's considered to be a very safe exercise, because your focus is on being aware of what you're doing and staying relaxed. Stepping and bouncing the ball. Again, if we need to hold on to something, that's okay. Practice makes perfect. Perfect practice, staying relaxed, keeping everything in good alignment, allows you to get the best results even faster. Some go, if I go faster, that'd be better, wouldn't it? Well, garbage in, garbage out. You know, if I'm doing this and I haven't got good posture or balance, then I'd really question why I'd even bother doing it in the first place. But if I can focus on keeping good balance and good alignment, And these are things that are going to be very important as we get older. See, a lot of people forget that Tai Chi is a strength and conditioning exercise. It's all about being strong and powerful. As we get older, it's easy when you're young. It really is. You take it for granted. But as we get older, we still want to be able to use the joints. We want to have strength and focus and power in the movements and in the body. We want to be able to do things and enjoy life. Unfortunately, most people will stop exercising because the exercises they do accumulate injuries. And when they can't compete or be the best in the field anymore, they often think it's not worthwhile. But the idea in Tai Chi and Qigong is whatever you can do is worthwhile. Always try to do it the best and most comfortably that you can. Focus on relaxing and letting go. So come back to the center. Let gravity just go through the body. So you're sitting like a dead weight, strong, solid, stable. No tension in the upper body. But even go beyond that. Think of lifting the spirit. Stand tall. The joy of living. Appreciate it. To represent the yin and the yang, the balance, the open and closed, fit together to represent harmony. A gesture of respect, a sign of humility, respect for all things, especially for each other, and as a greeting to wish each other well. It's another way of shaking hands. Shake your hand at someone to wish them good health, long life, prosperity, and good luck.